Hello, my name is Jake. My topic is on mindfulness and spirituality. Unfortunately, my PowerPoint would not translate over from Mac to the Microsoft version, so I will do this via video. I will have the note my PowerPoint included here for so you can follow along. And again, my name is Jake, and my topic is on spirituality and mindfulness together. What is well-being on spirituality? The well-being of spirituality in the context of the lectures from Bethel, spirituality is the part that communicates with God. The part that makes you feel one with God and makes you want to live like Jesus. And some of those ways that how you can get to that is with the spiritual disciplines, such as solitude, silence, service, study, and prayer. And just keep those the ones of solitude, silence, study in mind, because we're going to talk about a little bit about mindfulness here as well. Mindfulness, defined by the Mayo Clinic, mindfulness is a type of meditation that makes you focus intensely aware of what's going on, the sensations you are feeling in that moment, without any interpretation or judgment. And the next portion of it is practicing mindfulness involves breathing methods, guided imagery, and other practices such as relaxing the body and mind and reducing stress. Some of the things that are going to be key to bring up here is interpreting things without judgment and also guided imagery. That's going to become another thing that's going to become important later on in my presentation. So why the subject of mindfulness and spirituality? The reason why I selected the two, the reason is to celebrate our differences and yet find common ground. Because mindfulness and spirituality are both considered two different things. Because one's more of a secular belief and one's the religious belief. So we're going to take a look. So why is it important to have some of the traditional values and the new age of thinking views? Well, according to the study done by Lisa Team and Albert Kopkek, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Mindfulness is together with spirituality kind of really did help out curve the problem of people relapsing on with substance abuse issues. So they tested their theory with some people just doing just mindfulness and some just going to church and spirituality. And they had another group that did both. And the group that did both of them had the less chance of relapse. So it is spirituality, and like it helps with your well-being of spirituality because you're being cognizant with mindfulness. And mindfulness is more of a, it's a secular way of, and it can also lead right into some of the traditional way. Like there is also right now there's a French study that I was reading into that is currently ongoing. They have been kind of doing benchmarks of showing off what's going on with it. The French study has showed mindfulness has been helpful with people with substance abuse issues and depression. They're trying to see if just normal relaxation, just watching TV, going for a walk, that will help, or if mindfulness will be the one thing that will help them. So now, when I was looking at that article, I thought it was going to be kind of a loaded, like, it's just this and everything else. And then so it kind of gave me that interpretation. It's going to be kind of a loaded way of saying, hey, this is not going to work. But in the study is from the 2 years, the 1 year benchmark they've been seeing, it's been really beneficial for people who are suffering from depression and substance abuse issues to get better and live a better life. So that's something. And also like spirituality, it's kind of helping the mind get to a better place. Like as for spirituality, it's to communicate with God. And one of the big negative things is when I was talking about the imagery. So there was an article I read by Mr. Jacobs. He is first off, the article is from a regular Google search. So most people, they don't go to Google Scholar when they're looking into like, hey, I should try this thing out. No, they're gonna go look into Google. They're just gonna do a normal Google search, and this is what popped up in one of the first 5 things I found out when I hit mindfulness with Google and like mindfulness not being helpful. This is one of the ones I saw for right away. It had an article like it's one of those small town kind of, not small town, but smaller end news outlet, had its social medias prominently displayed at the very tops and right above the article, and it had the bold letters of saying it makes you think of fake memories. That is a misconception right there. Like I said, it's one of the things is to guide you in breathing, and like it's guided imagery. So you're guiding yourself on thinking. It's not recalling exactly recalling a memory. It's guided like you're walking through a forest and you see a fox. Not everyone has seen a fox while walking through the forest, but we can all picture it. The next, under the next slide, influence of the faith on the faith on me. I grew up with not having a religious background. I am someone who is very a-religious, an atheist essentially, and I do practice mindfulness, and I'm not about challenging anyone's belief systems to go on. I'm not gonna do that. But I'm trying to find what do we really have as common ground. Some of the common grounds, like I said, solitude, silence, and study, those are really relatable. With mindfulness, you're reflecting on the moment. And sometimes you do that when you're sitting alone, like in your car, when you're coming home from work, you're reflecting on what's going on, how you feel. You're decompressing. I use mindfulness when I was leaving from work, when I was able to work from at the actual workplace instead of working from home. I would, be alone in my car, turn the radio off, just me and the engine hum, reflecting on how I felt and kind of decompress, you know, what feelings I was feeling, and then observing those, feelings of being frustrated with my day, if it's frustration day, or joy if it was a good fun day at work. And like with the Christian disciplines, like with the solitude, silence, study, and prayer, I mean, you could make an argument saying like being in a meditative state is like being in a prayer, and it's what your spiritual well-being is trying to be, one with God and being living like Jesus. Well, if you don't have a, per se, you don't have a God that you for sure like for yourself. You're just trying to feel one with the world and kind of understand your whole portion of the world, like what you're part of. That's to me, that's like communicating to God and live like Jesus. Like you don't want to be that jerk. You want like from all the stories I've read about Jesus, he was a pretty swell dude. I mean, he was one of the most, turn the other cheek. That is something that's very, very needed in the world today. And some of the impacts of how this impacts me, it makes me much more open to other people's, belief systems. I, with mindfulness, one of the things is, with my whole well-being of it, is being able to receive other people's ideas. So it kind of touches into the, well-being of cognitive and emotional. Like you're willing to learn and kind of, if one of your well-beings is kind of messed up, it's the rest of them are going to be kind of messed up too. And spiritual one is the most important one because that's your mind. That's where you're centered. I mean, it doesn't necessarily go with, the whole soul. Like I don't personally believe in the whole soul thing. It's just it makes me feel better to know I'm centered myself. It's probably like prayer for most of you. You just feel like you're calm, you're in the moment, you're there, you're here, and you're feeling it. And just it makes me open to go with the other well-beings of, mental, like besides, the cognizant, like being open to hear other people's ideas, because with mindfulness you're observing emotions as if they're flowing down a river past you. You're just taking a look and you're observing it. You're not making any judgment. You're not going, oh, that's an ugly piece of wood floating by. And when you're on a boat, you're just like, oh, that's a log floating by. It's essentially the same thing with ideas. And it makes me a little bit more easy to relate to people with who have religious beliefs. I mean, like I said, I grew up in a very non-religious household. It's, you know, going to church on Sundays not something I ever did. And people, it like to me that was kind of a foreign concept. But it made me more like be able to relate. Like, hey, you like to prayer, I like to meditate. We're both trying to find that center, and we're trying to, be better people. And my sources are the studies I've referenced are also going to be there, and is also going to have the Mayo Clinic one. And thank you for clicking on my video and following along with my PowerPoint, and have a wonderful summer.